Well, I'm here to talk about energy storage and the business of sustainable strategies, basically implementing sustainable strategies in a business. Before I get there, I just want to thank the previous speaker for talking. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Even though I'm Belgian, I still agree with you. I shifted to EV cars and I can make all my trips, and I'm also super excited. I think they're safer too, more control. Anyways, that's my 2 cents there. Again, welcome to EarthX and welcome to the Carpenter Room. Earth Day is tomorrow, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, and hopefully we will all enjoy it. So I'm going to move on to this next slide. And just a little warning, there's got some flashing lights, so if that bothers you, please look away, but you can still hear it. Hopefully there's sound.
This could be the most important minute of your day.
We have been through difficult times
and face big problems ahead.
But every crisis contains both danger and opportunity.
Increíble, pero también es una oportunidad.
You can play your part.
Right now.
Right now.
Please close your eyes.
Imagine the better future we could have.
Imagine that future.
What does it look like for you? How do we lift each other up
And make it fair.
How do we protect nature?
and save our shared home? Picture that future you want.
Now open your eyes.
It's time to talk about the future we want.
So I love how that ends on a heartbeat from a sonogram, because that's the future, right? Our kids are our future. That's kind of why we're all here. And I think we're all here because we believe in the same thing that's up here on this slide. You know, whether it's climate change, or we think there's an existential threat to this planet, or we think it's just good business or responsible business, or you think, you know, profitable business is good business. Maybe you're here to figure out how to do that, how to do a sustainable business in a profitable way, right? So that's essentially what I'm hoping I can bring to you here today. And I want to do that by sharing, you know, my example with Energy Vault. And just to give you a little background there, I'm an architect. I did not know energy storage before I joined the company, and I built the sustainability department for a publicly traded company over the last several years. And I raised it to you know, become a very well-recognized sustainable company, and you know, high ESG scores, sustainability reports, good governance, and so forth. And I want to share that with you. So basically, here I've got this little link image here. So for us, we focus on core areas of impact globally. What is affecting global warming the most? It's, you know, our energy consumption. So we feel that the transition to, you know, the energy transition to renewables, one of the missing links is energy storage, right? To enable renewable energies to be more constant throughout the day. For those who, you know, maybe don't understand it, but when the wind stops blowing, you store that energy in a battery or something, and then you deliver it when energy is needed, and that's one way to get to where we need to get to, right? So, you know, that's us, and that's the concept of Energy Vault, and I'll give you another. I know you guys sit there and you listen to a lot of people talk, so I've put a couple videos in my presentation so you guys can watch and see some ideas. So this will tell you about who Energy Vault is and why we're here.
Our mission is to accelerate decarbonization of our planet through sustainable and economical energy storage solutions. We enable the companies that power our world to break their dependency on fossil fuels, facilitate this circular energy economy, and advance our global transition to a clean energy future. We master the complexities of a clean energy transition through our collective passion for innovation. We are dedicated to responsible production in our pursuit to advanced, clean, and affordable energy for all. We are driven by our purpose to enable a world powered by renewable resources. We are Energy Vault, and the future is now. So
the future is what does that mean, and how are we going to get there? So there's a sense of urgency, I think, a lot of us feeling as we're here in this conference, and if you're going to other sessions, you're hearing this urgency. And the urgency is to solve this problem, right, this challenge that we have, but it's also to solve it so that we're not causing another problem for future generations, right? That's what the definition of sustainability is or was from the UN Secretary, I don't know how many years ago, but that was the definition, right? So one of our concepts, or one of the concepts I believe in terms of sustainable business, is not a one-size-fits-all approach, right? But rather finding unique solutions to unique problems. So our solutions should be as diverse as the geographies that we live in, the cultures that we have on this planet, and the people that we serve. And so that mentality is how we started Energy Vault, right? Having different solutions. We want to innovate. We don't want to just plug one idea into one location, because if you have one solution, that means you have one material, right, or one function. And then you're limited on that scope. If something happens in that linear concept of thinking, right, you have a bottleneck. And so that concept is something where I'd like to instill and share with you all. I think some of the other speakers have said something about multiple concepts and multiple ideas. This creates a redundant supply chain, right? Supply chain, if you guys have been around other conferences, supply chain is one of the biggest problems for enabling sustainability. You can't get a product, so what do? You go buy the quickest, fastest thing you can in order to get your project up in line, and I'll think about sustainability after because I need to get to my next job, okay? So at Energy Vault, we build energy storage, multiple innovative energy storage concepts, and we deliver it to the planet, right? One of the ways we think about doing this is taking advantage of these concepts that I have on the screen here. So, show of hands, who has heard of biomimicry? Okay. Raise or lower your hands if you employ systems thinking in your business. Daniel, was it right? Daniel was talking about systems thinking in a previous, and I think you added net storming to that. That's essentially what systems thinking is. So here are the definitions. I think we can all read, but systems thinking and biomimicry is the start. For me, and for the concept, as we were developing the business and the sustainability department of the company, we started with this. Mother Nature's been around for billions of years. They've created systems that work extremely efficient, right? And there's almost no waste. There is no waste in some of these systems that they have, right? So mimic what biology is doing, right? Keeping that in mind as you go through your strategies and your concepts and your product designs and your services that you're sending out to the world, and use that, right? And what do you think is the oldest energy storage thing on this planet? Anybody can shout it out if they think they know. The oldest. The ocean. The ocean, that's fantastic. The ocean definitely stores energy. What we used and what I thought about was photosynthesis. We learn it in grade school, right? Now, photosynthesis has no waste. It stores energy. It grows as it stores energy, which is also something cool, which I haven't yet figured out how to do that yet. But we're on our way. So we sought to use the concept of systems thinking and biomimicry, and I grabbed a hold of photosynthesis as one of the rudimentary concepts that we have, and I wanted to employ that, right? So soil, that's your raw material for your mining, right? The roots, that's your transportation system. The stem, the leaf, that's your manufacturing, right? The leaf, the fruit, that's your product or your service, right? What's the byproduct? Oxygen. Who takes oxygen? I think some of you guys take oxygen in this room? Okay, good. So you take that concept in mind and you look at your service and you look at your product and you try to see how you can mimic that, right? And as you're doing that, like Mother Nature, you want to look at things like, you want to see the whole picture. Daniel showed that. He had a great little graph up there with dots and lines connecting to other picture frames with other dots in them. I mean, I'm going to use that graph. You might have to give it to me, right? So you want to see the whole picture, right? And you want to engage different perspectives. You want to meet with your supply chain, your value chain. You need all of their perspectives in order to understand the whole picture. If you don't talk to them, you can't see the whole picture, right? And from that point, you can identify new leverage points. Points that will give you opportunities, points that will identify challenges, and then you can use those to your benefit, right? Then you look for relationships between your stakeholders and your value chain, right? And you try to connect those dots. You look for consequences, you think circularly. If there's a waste, what do I do with that waste, right? You embrace the complexity, don't run away from it. Dive into the complexity. Start to unravel that big knot, right? Start pulling at the strings and unraveling those big knots, and ask questions, right? Don't be shy. A lot of people don't want to ask questions. I asked you all a question. We had a couple guys bring up their, male or female, whatever, bring up their hands and say it. Please ask questions. Don't be shy to ask questions, right? And one of the only ways to get this done is, I said it a couple times, is working with your partners. When you're asking the questions to your partners, right, you got to engage them. Engage your suppliers, engage your customers, right? Go down the value chain, ask a couple more questions, get them involved. I think you all kind of know that. If you're here or you're learning some of these things, that's kind of a fundamental thing just for good, responsible business. But I also want to share some, I missed that slide, there you go. I also want to share some other partners that you might have skipped, right? These are some of the partners you might have skipped. These people are out there to help you with your systems thinking, right? So if you've got the UN Global Compact, which one of our previous panelists was saying, the Global Compact is a great resource to use. They have workshops, they have frameworks, they have all sorts of things that help you achieve those sustainable development goals, but they help you with the systems thinking. The ones in the middle, Sustainability 1 and TCFD, I know TCFD doesn't exist anymore, but I wanted to put it up there because the F, finance, financial, money. If you don't talk about that and you're not using that language, you're kind of dead in the water, right? You need to be able to speak the right language, right? And these days, some of the languages that you're talking about, because of maybe the current political environment or whatever it is, some of the words that we're using out there are polarizing. So use the right words. That's a big issue, right? You throw out the wrong word, you lost your audience, okay? So these will help you. And I'm not saying, I'm not marketing these frameworks or groups out there. Use the one that fits your business model, right? You have a business model, you have a goal. There are so many of those out there, and a lot of them align with what you want to do, right? And they're good, they've done it. Okay, so here's that business model concept. I'll explain it a little bit, but every company is kind of similar. You have different departments or different key operational goals. So those are those big solid blue lines going across the screen, right? They look like silos, right? Which is not a good thing. We don't want silos. But that's normally what happens. Each department goal, they're inside the forest. They see their tree. They just need to work on their topic, and they don't want to talk to anybody else, right? And if you do that, there's nothing wrong with that concept because they're hyper-focused and they're solving it. But they need to open up, right? And it's very difficult for them to open up. So when I developed the sustainability department at Energy Vault, what I did was I started what's called the Sustainability Task Force. I implored and urged, and I told the CEO, if I'm going to work here, I need 2 people from each department to report to me. And they are going to be sustainably minded focused. They will have sustainable KPIs, sustainable goals. They will report back to you. And guess what, executive? Your bonus is tied to their performance. So you can throw me somebody, you can give me somebody that you don't like, but then your bonus will get cut, right? So now that department head's like, ooh, I'm going to give them somebody good. I'm going to give them somebody who's going to perform. So that sustainability department then goes back to each department, that champion, that sustainability task force champion goes back to each department, right? And they work with their department to ensure that sustainability is talked about in every aspect and that their KPI, their key performance indicator, is achieved, okay? So what happens is that, you have that sustainability task force working. They have their goals, and now you start producing results, right? So here is just kind of an example of some responsible business objectives that we instill at Energy Vault, and we have to make sure that some of these high-level topics are thought about, right? It's pretty simple, it's pretty easy, but it keeps me focused, it keeps me grounded, it keeps me focusing on the bigger picture, because I also can be siloed. I can go down a have my blinders on and only focus on one thing. So I need to also make sure I'm doing other things and focusing on the bigger picture. And how do I do that? There's a couple things that I focus on when I'm attacking that. So one of them is, who's heard of triple bottom line? Okay, so triple bottom line is people, profit, planet, essentially. I'm just giving you the abridged version of it, right? So old school thinking, profit is what we're focused on. Now we're looking at triple bottom line, people, profit, and planet, right? Those are the focuses. Materiality assessments. Materiality assessments and double materiality assessments help you focus on what's important to your business, okay? Life cycle assessments. That helps you know what your product or your service is doing, what the impact of your product or your service is doing, right? We already talked about supply chain engagement, so that's a big deal, and the voice of the customer. And as a result, here's, oops, I got like 2 slideshows going. As a result, you have, here's our roadmap. We were able to do so much with so little because of the task force, right? And because of the top-down and bottom-up approach that Energy Vault has, in the short 4 years or 3 years in this, we tracked our emissions, we had good governance, we've did an ESG score, the highest in the energy storage sector, and we've developed 5 products, I think, that we've launched, okay? I've got a 2-minute video to end. Can I work with that? So as a result, this 2-minute video will show you a result of a first of its kind, the largest ultra long duration energy storage green hydrogen system technology in the world, I believe. And
the Calistoga project represents Energy Vault's first foray into the ultra long duration energy storage segment. The foundational level of this is a battery energy storage system providing what's called black start, which is boosting the town from when it's taken down when the power line is de-energized and brings the town back alive. So to supplement that and keep the power going, we are installing an array of fuel cell units from one of our partners, Plug Power. And the fuel cells will provide the base power for the town. Fuel cells need a reactant. In this case, we're bringing in hydrogen. It combines with oxygen and releases water as well as electricity. So it's a very clean way to generate power, and it's a way that actually will put water back into the community.
Prior to this Energy Vault project going in, we had diesel generators going on that were really loud. We're slowly and surely going more and more green, and this just fit right in with that narrative.
Previous system, the diesel system, was not available. It was only available during the fire season, but now, unfortunately, the fire season realistically is at any time of year. So very happy to finally get it in place.
We're not going to need to bring in diesel fuel, things like that for these generators, but it also helps immediately get the power back on so our businesses can thrive. So they're not waiting with the lights out with customers in the store, the door is locked. They didn't come in and just try to jam a project in. They really communicated with the chamber, with the planning commission, with city council members, with the community. Really, really good partners and really good communication throughout.
I really appreciated all of the effort that Energy Vault did in presenting the plan to the city and explaining everything in detail and showing us what it was going to look like and trying to make it look like something normal instead of gigantic generators that were not very attractive. And it's not so much the aesthetics for me as it is, the consideration. And I think sometimes companies forget that.
There you go. Byproduct of using hydrogen, clean water. So thank you for listening to my presentation.